This is a story I haven't told yet, and I really didn't want to tell it. I'm not sure why. I just don't want to out anyone in these videos or be negative, but it's a good lesson for others to see, and I think it'll help somebody. And I also wanted to understand the story better myself, or maybe have an ending before telling it.
Before Jason tells you our story, I'd like to announce that we now have an Instagram page where we will be posting live updates. So if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, click on the link in the description. Also, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to be notified of when we put up a new video, be sure to click on that bell icon.
The story actually starts before we bought our new sailboat. In the actual seller's ad for the boat, specifically where it says, many engine components recently replaced, including starter, alternator, glow plugs, and control panel components. That sounds like someone trying to troubleshoot a problem, doesn't it? We bought the boat and started it twice the first day, once for a test drive and once after fueling up on the way out. And since there was no wind, we motored for 11 hours that day, so the batteries were 100% charged, I would think. The next morning, we woke up in the Gulf of Mexico to what would be our second day of sailing on our new sailboat. After holding down the glow plug button, I pressed the start button and nothing happened. I waited like a minute and tried the engine again, and it turned over and started right up. And I thought maybe we just done something wrong. We were 6 miles offshore in a boat we owned for one day, so I felt a little uneasy. We sailed that whole day and started the engine again later with no issues, but as we got back near our anchorage, the wind died. So in the channel with heavy boat traffic, we went to start the engine so we could roll in our Genoa, and we got nothing. I could hear the glow solenoid click. I knew they were heating, but the starter would not engage or even click. Just nothing. After 3 or 4 more tries, with other boaters wondering why we were in the channel going 1 knot, the starter button worked and the engine fired right up. So I emailed the previous owner and asked him if he ever had this issue before, and his reply was something about his wife having it happen once, but he presumed that maybe she just wasn't pressing the button hard enough. At that point I had no reason not to believe the previous owner, but I kind of doubted the problem just started happening coincidentally when I bought the boat. What does he owe me? He's trying to sell a boat, so no hard feelings. So now fast forward a few weeks and we're bringing the boat to its new marina, and just as we need to douse the sails, the start button does nothing, and we're not familiar enough with the area to drift with no sails or keep sailing off the channel. It could have ended a lot worse, but it's not how we wanted to end our trip. So I started Googling sailboat start button issues, and what did I find? I found the previous owner's forum post where he's having this exact issue. In fact, the title of the forum is 13 to 15 presses on start button before cold diesel start. And he begins his response with, I had a similar issue on my O'Day 28, 1985, which was Envision, the boat we bought. Like I said, no hard feelings. I would have bought the boat even if he told me about this problem, but it would have been nice to know. We sailed a bunch more times, sort of living with this intermittent problem, knowing the engine would eventually start, but feeling uneasy and trying to start the motor before we really needed to. But then, one day it kind of ruined our day.
The boat wouldn't start. We all got all ready, prepared, provisioned, everything to come out here. And
yeah, hauled everything out to the boat. Had a nice night. She was going to be 68 at night. But look at this nice weekend we had the weekend after that, which I'm going to show you in a future video. So we did fix the issue, and this video is going to show you how. One of the first things I did when I bought this boat was just take pictures of everything, because it's a lot easier to sit in front of your computer at home and just look through pictures and kind of see what's wrong, zoom in on things, examine things. And I had seen this tattered connector in one of the pictures. And while searching the web for this issue, I found Marine How To, awesome website, and it had this exact trailer connector that apparently starts fires and has a lot of problems. And wow, it sure does look like the connector that is in my boat. So I'm going to replace this connector with a bus bar, but first I'm going to finish installing that power meter from the last episode. Today I'm wearing my GoPro chesty mount so I can show you guys what I'm doing. Here's the view out of it. And what I'm doing is I am mounting this thing over here. God, I'm gonna be so glad to be done working back in this corner between the fuel tank, the autopilot, and this thing. That's it. We have a spinnaker that goes back here, and our dinghy. Forgot to put the cushion in there before I did the dinghy and the... So I can't really reach the connector. I'm gonna have to remove the alternator. There's just no other choice. But it looks pretty easy. It's just 2 nuts and bolts, and it'll pull right off. If we didn't have air conditioning in this boat, there'd be no way I'd be doing this until next winter. I got the alternator off, so now I can get to all the wires. That's the trailer connector that is supposedly not good to have and causes a bunch of problems. So by eliminating that, we could potentially fix some problems, or at least rule that out as our problem. So I basically have to cut those wires one by one and install connectors on the ends and put them on a terminal block. "16 connections is what I have to do here." Alright, an hour later we have this, and I can see some corrosion. We're going to take this apart and see what it looked like inside. These 8 wires aside now go to this bus bar, and I have a nice plastic cover for it. You know, you do these things and you always think, well, there's going to be some electrician that watches this and picks it apart, but that's got to be better than this old thing that's all corroded, and I can't troubleshoot this problem without getting rid of this. And when I got home, I was able to get this thing apart with 2 pairs of channel locks, and sure enough, it's completely corroded, and if it's anything like the plugs on my boat trailer, when the brake lights don't work, this was the problem. Man, getting that little washer or that nut and bolt back on there for the back of the alternator. Hey, are there any mechanics watching? Like this, do they use this as a washer? The people who, this is the alternator bracket, and this is sort of just sitting here like this. It kind of touches this water pipe, and I don't really understand why it would be here like this, but that's how it was, and I'm going to put it back the way it was. But I'll show you again once I get it tight. I wanted to change the water pump too. Let's see. That's not on this belt.
How did that feel?
Oh, good. Started right up.
Did you notice any difference?
I mean, it seems like it. We have stuff on inside too, and that was the 3rd time we started it. So we'll just see how it goes. We can turn the fridge back on now. And we went on to have a 2-day trip in the boat after that, which you'll see in our next episode, where the engine started every time. Like the sail is just all ratty. You're eating your lunch in there?